There are some production techniques that will help you not only optimize your production experience, but also will help you optimize your video for the web. One of the most important things I can present to you is use a tripod. Never handhold cameras when you can avoid it if it's going up on the web. One of the worst things you can do to feed a web encoder is pixels that are just moving around a tiny bit like they will be if you handhold a shot. So use a tripod, lock it down, minimize pans or tilts as much as possible for the best web results. Now, you'll want to zoom in as deep as possible as well. So what I recommend, and we'll talk about this in the editing section as well, but let's take and create an establishing shot that might be a little bit wider, and then let's go to close-up shots wherever we can and shoot a lot of B-roll when you're out there on the sets. Now, another thing to watch out for is backlit images. This is a real common one, and I see this on the web all the time. Keep your back to the sun. If you can't keep your back to the sun, then use a reflector to bounce the sun back onto your subject. Because when it comes time for the encode, if you've got a backlit sort of a subject, you're going to have a big halo around your subject and a dark, featureless face in most situations. So get your back to the sun or use a reflector to pop that back up. Also, always expose for the face. So if you're setting up your camera for a backlit shot or a less than optimally lit shot, expose for the face because that's where the detail that needs to be shown in the web stream is going to come into place. Another thing you can do to spice up or make the production a little more interesting is move the camera around every couple of minutes if you're just sort of doing a montage, or maybe you're at a soccer game, or maybe you're shooting an overall group of children at your church event. Just move that camera around from time to time and hard cut between those shots, because now we've got different angles. Nobody likes to look at the same thing for very long, so we'll look at lots and lots of different angles. Another thing that you can do is if your camcorder is capable of taking stills, maybe it's got a still photograph function on it. Take stills from time to time, and you can use those to illustrate points. Now, you'll be better off zooming in on a still or freezing on a still in your NLE and then compressing that than you will if you're doing a slow zoom in or a slow zoom out. So if you are working with zooms or with pans or any other kinds of movement for the web, you'll do better by zooming in, starting the camera, zooming out, and starting the camera. In other words, lots of start, and stop. So zoom in, turn on the camera. Shoot the scene, turn off the camera. Zoom out, turn on the camera. Finish the scene, turn off the camera. Instead of encoding those zooms, if you do have somebody that did a long, slow zoom, what I recommend that you do is go to freeze frame or something else along those lines. Keep the audio rolling underneath, but try and cut that zoom right out of the web stream wherever you can through some of your editing techniques. You might even have to cut back to a still. But let's try and keep zooms and pans off the web. What if you have to do a zoom or you have to do a pan?